Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Miss Gauri Chaudhari, who is the co-founder of brand Innerworld, a healthcare brand consultancy. She is also the author of a book named The Perfect Pill, 10 Steps to Build a Strong Healthcare Brand. Hi Gauri, welcome to Entrepreneur Lounge of India.
Hi Priya, how are you?
Doing great, how about you?
Very well, lockdown.
Gauri, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, hi everyone, and welcome to this session. So Priya tells me that I should be talking about my experience, so that's what I'll do in next few minutes. Um, and welcome aboard if you're just looking at a great entrepreneurial journey ahead. Then yeah, here are my two bits. I hope they'll be useful to you. So that's it. I mean, I'm a pharma graduate and I've done my management studies way back, from Mumbai University, worked in several organizations in marketing and advertising department. And there came a point where I thought I should be my own. And around 10 years back, I started my own consultancy, which is Brand Innerworld. It's all about brands. So what we do is from formulation of a great healthcare brand to its building that brand further and seeing to it that ultimately it benefits customers and the businesses. So that's the consultancy zone of 360 degrees is what we do.
Mhm. Tell us a bit more about brand Inner World. What is the kind of services it provides, and who are the existing or potential clients?
Yeah, so basically, pharmaceutical world and the healthcare world in general is slightly different. We have our brands manufactured or ideated in labs.
Mm,
Uh, and then as the brand grows, it goes to customers. So we have a unique idea where we actually formulate brands basis understanding of the customer needs.
mm,
So, what do patients want or what do doctors want? And taking those insights back into the lab and sitting with scientists and creating formulations which actually solve problems. Now, it is not as simple as it happens in FMCG
mm,
because most of the time FMCG world is more open and not regulated. It's not about drugs, it's not about diseases. But
mm,
in our case, it's way different. So India has a lot of branded generics. So where your basic generic is already derived upon, but you need to formulate it in a manner, or you can formulate it in a manner that it solves customers' problem. So once we do that, Brand Inner World associates with clients, and most of my clients are in top 20 pharma companies. We actually, help them do customer insighting. We help them actually arriving at propositions,
mm.
build that brand over a period of time, and see to it that patient outcomes are better and the doctors start preferring your formulation over any other. So that's a 360-degree journey that Brand Inner World does.
So, tell us about the book you have written, The Perfect Pill. What is it about? In a very short way, can you tell our audience how they can be benefited from that book? What is the book about?
Yeah, I mean, actually, this is one book which is there are 10 steps which can be followed to build a healthcare brand. Now, the whole idea of a brand is to fulfill a purpose, and that purpose is better patient outcome. So, if patient outcome has to be better, a doctor has to understand there exists a brand like this. These are the benefits of that brand. And going back, someone has to create that kind of brand, which actually influences patient outcomes. So, in my book, I have actually written 10 very critical steps, which, if followed properly, it so happens that a brand gets built and the patient outcomes are improved. So there is an ultimate win-win situation between a patient, doctor, and a pharma brand. And how do you arrive at it is what is explained in this book.
And how our audience, let me tell you a bit about our audience. They're young people who are in their graduate courses or maybe into their first job, young enough to start their own venture. how can they benefit from this particular book?
Yeah, I mean, though this book is actually about healthcare brands, but this is one process which I have used for last so many years across my interactions with brands and businesses.
Hmm.
So, though this book is written from healthcare expertise, that's where my expertise come in. But I think it's a universal model to follow. So it essentially says that if you want to create customer value, if you want to create something that your customers really want, then there is a simple method, and there are three buckets to this method. First is understand yourself and your business.
Hmm.
So what is it that your business is really going to do? So what are your strengths? And at this point, just ignore all your weaknesses.
Hmm.
Just focus on your strengths and say and figure out what is it that you do the best. Figure out, then the second basket is what is it that what is it that customers really want, what are their needs, what are their problems, what are their pain points, and how does solution look like. So that's your second basket. Your third basket is about competition, which means what is competition doing, what are they really not so good at, and here concentrate only on the weaknesses of your competition. And then ask a simple question, and that question is that what is it that your customer wants and you can provide in the best possible manner, but your competition cannot. And whatever is the answer is your customer value. Now, just one rider here. When I say that focus on your strengths, you focus on your strengths at this stage, but later on, do look at your weaknesses. You have to improve upon your weaknesses. But if you focus completely on your weakness, you cannot create customer value. So your strengths are extremely important. On the other side, when I say focus only on the weaknesses of your customer, once again, focus on weaknesses for this process, but later move on and figure out what strengths your competition has, and then see to it that how can you actually match up to those trends and not be at disadvantage. But the whole idea is about you yourself, what you're best at, what your customers want, and what your competition cannot deliver. So if you follow this mantra, most often you arrive at the best customer value.
Hmm.
And that's the book all about.
Got it. Now I would like to ask, uh, when did you think of becoming an entrepreneur? This is the regular question I ask to everyone. When did did something bug in your mind that I want to do something of my own? When did this happen?
Yeah, my journey is slightly different from most of your audience may have a journey like in the sense that I was in a very active career. I got placed immediately after during third semester of MBA. That is typically how it happens in most of the MBA colleges. So
Hmm.
I was placed, and I was very happy with the kind of work I was doing. I became brand manager, and I was moving across country. There came a point where FCB Ulka Advertising was looking out for their head for their healthcare business. So uh, when we started talking, I found advertising really interesting. And after around 8 to 9 years experience in pharma marketing, I moved on to advertising. That too also in India is one of the best advertising agencies with the clients like Amul, Indigo, Tata Motors, and Whirlpool, and several other flagship brands. And they wanted to open this healthcare division for the patented brand, which they anticipated that time would come in big numbers in this country. So I worked there for several years. I had everything going for me, and a lot of enjoyment, and I was really loving my work. The
Hmm.
only thing that was not happening with me is having enough time for my family. So I had two young children that time, and as a mother, I wanted to spend time with them more than they wanting that time with me. So maybe they were too small, and they were okay with mother going out in the morning, coming late in the night.
Hmm.
But I guess that was my need, and I said time is non-renewable resource. if I miss out on this time, I will never get it again. And that was my call to be on my own. And it was a tough journey to begin with, particularly when you're earning a huge salary, a lot of respect in the industry, a lot of warmth and love from your colleagues. So everything going right, and yet you feel no, at this stage, I want control over my own time, and therefore I want to be my own boss. So that was the journey I started around 2010, and it moved on. So far, so good. Never thought of looking back.
Right. I think this is a very nice statement you made. Time is a non-renewable resource. Uh, so my next question is, when you started the journey, when you left your job and started on your own, how did your family react to it? How was your financial runway and all?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I didn't have so much of financial responsibility because my husband is in a job and he was in an active job even then. So it wasn't a question of how will I earn my lunch and dinner. So that part, luckily, was not the case. Also, having worked for so many years, I had enough. So financials were not really a question.
Hmm.
Yeah, but how was it from family, particularly from my parents and in-laws? The question was, you're giving up on something that's so enriching. You're giving up on a job, and in a way, they were around with my children, and they were really questioning, do you really need to be
Hmm.
around? Because in a way, we can take care. But the point was that it was a decision that I thought was mine and my choice. So initially, when they were really were little concerned with so much of education, would it happen that you will get completely sucked into, being a mother than being a professional, and would you be able to get that balance right? So it was my choice, and I said, okay, I will get that balance right. But at this minute, I want to spend with
Hmm.
my children, and that was the call I took.
Right. But this is just one side of the story. When it comes to quitting a job and starting your own venture, survival is just one part of it. But to build a venture, you need money to invest in. You need the bootstrapping money. So how did you manage? And the kind of venture you have built, does that need substantial investment?
No, so that's the good part of my venture. It doesn't require substantial investment. It just requires time and talent. And luckily, I started getting associated with people who were like-minded people,
Hmm.
and we started coming together as we created this consultancy practice where everyone became a partner. So there was no such thing that we were investing in terms of money in the business, but yes, we were giving our time and we were giving our talent to it. And therefore, getting these like-minded people together was a journey in itself. It wasn't easy. Not that everybody is open for kind of a thing where you don't have a monthly income coming. So initially, I didn't have any overheads, which I started later on in my life. So particular salaries and monthly expenses, all that I did much later in my journey. So the initial part was just getting together and working on projects. And I came across many scientists, particularly who were ready to get into this formulation development,
Hmm.
which worked pretty well. So being a scientist, they were more open for good work and partnership kind of arrangement than any salaried arrangement.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. So now, since you have already mentioned a few things about how your initial days were, I would like you to talk more about how the initial days were, more in terms of what was the first thing you did, how did you get your first customer, how did you recruit your team, or how did it happen initially? What was the first month like?
Yeah, I mean, the first month was the toughest of all the months. A simple thing like when you are at a position in organizations, you have the entire organization helping you out. A simple thing that I would never even go and get myself anything Xeroxed. You just have an office boy say that go to the corner and get things xeroxed. But when you're on your own, you are the CEO and you are the peon of your own organization. So
mm,
simple things like that did trouble me, because so I was doing almost everything on my own. But having said that, one thing was good in my journey, that all my clients who were my clients, even initially, even in the advertising world, kind of actually started coming to me and saying that while we are doing advertising with FCB Ulka, can you do this bit for us? And FCB Ulka was more than happy to partner with me. So we kind of had a triad. So all my ex clients actually became my clients. So getting first client was not difficult. In fact, even the company for which I was working as a marketing executive came back to me saying that, okay, we understand you are on your own now, we want this to be done. So business was never a problem for me, because over a period of time I had that kind of network and equation with people associated in the industry. Issue was, how do you run it? How do you get your daily work done? And still, I mean, the whole idea was to have more time on hand, and there were days that I had much lesser time on hand than what I would have had in my 9 to 5 job, which was never 9 to 5, of course, but which I had in job. So those were little tough times, but fair enough. Being my own boss, I decided my priorities right. So I wouldn't say it was a very easy journey, but yeah, it was very enriching and fulfilling.
mm, mm. Right. So the way I see it, so Gauri, first of all, not every day we get entrepreneurs who are into marketing industry, especially into marketing agencies. So I would like to ask you this question. It looks like is what I can understand from here. It is not very difficult to start a company which is doing marketing for other companies, because the initial investment is very less. All you need is talent, experience, and good connection in the industry, right? So can you what the statement I made, is it a correct statement? Also, I would like to ask, what are the different things of marketing industry in general, not talking about healthcare only, but marketing industry in general, what others do not know about?
I mean, I wouldn't really know what are those different things. I mean, I don't know what to compare it with, but whatever it is, I mean, one thing is there, you got to have passion, and you've got to have more passion for, if you're in marketing, your passion has to run really high, because when you love your products or when you love your brands, then only your customers can love it, and that's transferable.
Hmm,
The minute a marketing person feels a little doubtful about his or her own brand, there's a good chance that your customer is going to drop it. So that passion, belief, and the persistence is something that a marketing person must have. I wouldn't say others should not have, but with my experience, I can say it is suicidal if a marketing person doesn't have it.
hmm, hmm. And let's say a student is in his graduation or a first job, and he thinks he's a marketing, he can be a marketing entrepreneur. What are the things, or what are the skill sets he must possess, he or she must possess, to become one?
Right. So basically, the first and foremost is that does he have an idea which is really burning in him? So
Hmm,
what generally any entrepreneurial idea goes around problem solving. So what is that one problem of your customer which you think is bothering you and you want to provide a solution for? So first of all, are you a good listener to understand those pain points very well, and then do you have a solution for it? So that's the first. Your business idea has to, in my opinion, has to come from there.
hmm,
Second important thing, I mean, there are a lot of things, but very important thing for a student to know that how good he or she with his teammates, because often it so happens that you can't do business alone. You need your so-called partners, co-founders, or whatever. So how good are you at working with other people? You may have excellent IQ. You might be 9 pointer and even 10 pointer in your class. That's good. That has to be there. I wouldn't undermine it by any chance. But how good are you with your friends? How do you build teams? I mean, how well did you do anything in the college where it involved a team of 10, 15 people? This leadership is a misnomer. Many times you just have to fit into that puzzle. I think many youngsters believe that they have to lead from the front and others have to follow it. In my personal limited opinion, that's not how the life is. Life is about fitting in and working together as an entire group and achieving things which you set out to. So, in my opinion, that's very critical skill to have, is to connect with other human beings and work collectively.
Right. And Gauri, now my question is based on what you planned or dreamed initially for your venture. How far have you reached in terms of milestones, and what is your vision? What do you want to build in the end?
Yeah, if I have to compare it from the journey I started with and the expectations I started with, I would say I achieved more or less what I wanted to.
Hmm.
But having said that, every time you come, you walk the path, you just see destination being there, I mean, the beautiful destination being there next to the destination you thought you wanted to reach to. So if I look ahead, there is so much more to achieve. There is so much more to do. And each time you take a turn, you see a new journey, and that is fascinating enough. As long as it's fascinating, I would say, then it's a long way to go, because every turn brings out a beautiful scenario ahead of you. So I mean, it's a very difficult question to answer. But okay, am I satisfied? Yes, I'm satisfied. Is there something more to do? Oh, there is a lot to do. So
Hmm.
that's where I am.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. Gauri, I would like to ask what are the challenges you faced along the way? The way you mentioned, it seems like a very smooth journey, but I'm sure there would be challenges. Can you tell some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, I mean, the most important challenge is when you are expanding and when you are, and you are going beyond your comfortable circle of people. I
Hmm.
mean, luckily, I had my set clients each year, and I didn't have to worry about going out and doing business. But then came a point when I started expanding and then taking no. And nobody says no to you. I mean, particularly in my business, it doesn't happen that somebody says, "Oh, what have you done? We are not interested."
Hmm.
They are a little polite, and you have to read between the lines, and you realize that it's a no, and you simply have to be to not get disappointed and move further. So that's what sometimes gets difficult.
Hmm.
Being an entrepreneur, sometimes you feel this is what is the best, and you can really add value to your client's business, and your client is not ready or open even for a discussion.
Hmm. Hmm.
So those disappointments come many times. Also, as an entrepreneur, quite some journeys are lonely journeys. They are not journeys where the entire organization is behind you. So being alone and facing those tensions at times, self-doubts at times, are the most difficult part to handle.
Hmm.
But there is no way out. So you live through it, and you just keep walking. But that's what every entrepreneur has to be really ready for, because often the journeys get lonelier.
Right. Who's your role model when it comes to entrepreneurship? Who inspires you?
Oh, there are quite a few. I mean, I wouldn't say there is just one, um, but there's one, Nicholas Hall. I don't know, your audience wouldn't have heard of these people, maybe because my industry is slightly
They only know Elon
different
Musk.
industry. Yeah, Elon Musk. I mean, any entrepreneur for that matter who has that burning desire which Musk has, and his vision is
Hmm.
too big and too large, and
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, Narayan Murthy. I mean, why should I mean, Zuckerberg. You look at anyone, everybody's
Who
journey
is your
fascinating.
role model?
Well, I would go by Narayan Murthy, because I think, succeeding in your business is one thing. A lot of people are, and whatever little you hear about them, makes your opinion. So I wouldn't take journey as only who is successful in his business. That's not how I would consider someone to be my role model. Very important for me is how is that person, how humble is that person. And I had an opportunity to meet Narayan Murthy, and I have seen how humble he is. um, there was a point when I met him. I met him very accidentally at the airport. I mean, at Frankfurt airport, and I and my family were just guessing, is this Narayan Murthy? Because the way he was conducting himself was so much like a common person, and I felt that man had humility, and he's a great human being. So for me, role model is not someone who is just successful, but someone who is humble, and someone who is who has his heart at the right place. So that incident I had with him can come at some later stage, but he's the person. All businessmen with heart at the right place is my role model.
Got it. How do you compare entrepreneurship with a 9 to 5 job? I think you have been to both.
Yeah. Well, these days there is nothing called 9 to 5 job. So, your job may start at 9, but you don't know when it would end. So, but having said that, there are certain comforts which come with 9 to 5 job. Technically, I mean, with a job, and which are basically getting fixed salary at end of the month, and that takes away huge burden from your head. Uh, but having said that, you don't have control over your time. So often it so happens is that because you have to put in certain number of hours in your office, and then because your work also demands a lot more extra time, most of the time you don't have control over. Sometimes you are just sitting in some meetings which probably you don't need even to. So you don't have control over your time at all. And I'm a kind of person who values time a bit more. So maybe so that's the flip side. And the good part is you have a salary every month, and you don't have to struggle hard to go and of course you struggle hard even for that, but your struggles are slightly lesser and more structured. But then you don't have the kind of freedom as an entrepreneur you have. So you have to weigh both the things well before you decide.
Right. Uh, the next question is, how do you suggest our audience to start their journey as an entrepreneur? I'm not talking about the marketing related entrepreneurs as such, but in general.
Oh, today's generation is way too smart, and opportunities are so much more. It's just that they have to have that risk taking ability, which I guess they do have. So there is no fixed formula. Every journey is a different journey. Follow your heart. That's all I would say. Any day in the morning, you feel that what I'm doing is not worth it, then give a serious consideration. But get up in the morning and if you say, oh, I have this way ahead, and this is what I'm going to do today in my business or my startup. If it is exciting to you, that's where you should be. So what advice can I give? But then maybe you start it right away and take risk, move on. Or else it could be take a couple of years experience, understand things how they happen outside in a very corporate setup, then use it. I mean, it's absolutely your choice. Don't compare. There is no one path to success. In fact, there are multiple paths to success. The only one mistake we keep doing all the time is that, oh, someone did it this way, and therefore this seems to be a path to success. No, luckily, success can come by whichever path you take, as long as you're happy about it, and you want to keep doing it. Persistence works. Lage raho. That's all it works when it's in business. Never say no. So don't quit. That's all. You will succeed.
Uh, I think we are almost up with the time. One last question. What is your final message to our potential entrepreneurs of this country?
Oh, my final message is probably the only one is that you are in the right country at the right time. and there is a whole lot of world of opportunities for you. Just go grab it. Don't ever feel disappointed if things don't go exactly the way you planned it to be, but never forget there is a divine path there. So believe in that path. Persistence, consistency, that's all it takes, beyond your, of course, strengths and your own skills at it. But being persistent is very critical. And last but not the least, your customer or your client is the most important person. You exist because he or she does. So whatever happens, whether you get business, you don't get business, never ever think that, oh, this customer, I mean, I really hate this customer of mine. No, if you ever get into that mode, it is not going to work for you. Understand things from his perspective. You would actually, even while taking no, you would actually understand the predicament that customer has. So as long as you're in love with what you do and you're in sync with your customer, there's no looking back.
Gauri, is there anything else you want to share with our audience and you couldn't due to my long questionnaire?
No, nothing particularly. All as an author, because I never thought I would be an author, and my book did exceedingly well, being one of the top sellers on Amazon and in India, UK, and Australia. Was something really very pleasant surprise to me. Though it's a healthcare brand building journey, do read it if you're interested in marketing, because you can apply it to any brand, and you can apply it to yourself. So the name of the book is The Perfect Pill: 10 Steps to Build a Strong Healthcare Brand. Pick up a copy if your library has, or if you get a hold of it somehow. If you don't want to buy it, but it's a model that I have put forward. It's a robust model, and rarely it goes wrong. So, and anytime there's so much to get into, my Twitter handle, my LinkedIn, wherever you all can just, or Google search Gauri Chaudhary, Chaudhary with I at the end. So look for me, and I'm all yours. Ask me any question you want, and with my limited capacity, whichever way I can answer them, I would love to do that, because students and youngsters are the future and everything for them.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you here at ELI. I think our audience would have got lifetime lessons from this video. Thanks for your time, Gauri, and our best wishes for your venture.
Thank you, Priyaranjan, and it was great meeting through you these young people. So all the best to you and everyone who wants to walk this path of entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you. Viewers, you can follow and connect with Gauri on LinkedIn by searching for Gauri Chaudhary with an I. Also, so whom do you want to have here at ELI for next episodes? Do let me know in comments below. We will be back with a note. Stay tuned to Entrepreneur Lounge of India.